Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. A little late getting my video going this morning. I was just getting it ready to start making it, and ended up getting a structure fire call. House ended up being in pretty good shape. We only had one small corner electrical fire, got that put out very quickly. Very minimal damage to the house. So those are always the good kind. It's unfortunate, especially because of the distance out here, out in the rural area, that structure fire calls. It's most times that you get there and it's so engulfed that there's not much to save. It's always a good day to save the house, and it's still totally livable. A lot of things going on. And I know, like I said yesterday, we went through about a 2-week period there of this like quiet little lull, and most all of you were saying it. You were saying it in the comments. I had so many people say it to me privately and personally, face to face. I've said it, that don't get caught up in that nice, peaceful quiet, because it's going to turn around, and it already has been. Several things going on. Number one, North Korea is saying that they're probably going to send, or could send, up to 100,000 troops into Russia to fight alongside with Russian troops against Ukraine, and very possibly, likely, maybe, NATO. They've already sent, I don't know, 10, 15, 20,000, depends on the source that you find, not a real clear number. But there's reports that they are already fighting alongside Russian troops against Ukrainians. Ukraine has stated that they've already engaged with them. United States has been flying B-52 bombers over the Middle East near Iran, trying to kind of send a message there. Yesterday, Biden and his administration announced that they were allowing Ukraine to have full permission to use missile systems that we gave them, that the West gave them, to strike deep inside of Russia. And of course, that's probably the biggest thing right now, because Russia's made it clear up until now, and then again yesterday, they reiterated it, that if that happens, that they would consider that being that NATO and the West has declared war against Russia. Yesterday, Vladimir Putin made a speech saying that Russia has the right to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine and against NATO if NATO uses, or Ukraine uses, NATO weapons to strike offensively inside Russia. And so things are heating up there very fast. And a lot of people, including Donald Trump Jr., many heads of state around the world yesterday spoke out and said that they believe that Joe Biden is trying to start World War III before he leaves office, trying to, as a little gift to Donald Trump, right? So that is a very serious situation. I don't think it should just be ignored or overlooked or whatever. I think it's definitely something to pay attention to, because these things could happen at a moment's notice. Russia yesterday said that they are fully ready. Their Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think, or something like that. Defense minister, one of their ministers, stated that Russia is prepared to react immediately, that as soon as United States Western missiles launch towards Russia, they are ready to react immediately. And there has been word that Russia has shot down some drones just this morning. Now, unsure if those are kind of part of this deal, because there have been other drones from Ukraine going into Russia, so it may not be Western drones necessarily. But that situation has become very tense and heated very rapidly. And, it should not come to any surprise to all of us, because we know that, and I've said this, you've said this over the last couple of weeks, the globalist, the statist, the Marxists, they're not going to just walk away from this. They're not going to just give up because Donald Trump won the election, so it's time to just lick your wounds and go home. They're not done yet, and so that could happen. Now, shifting gears a little bit, because, well, it's now I'm going to talk bad about Donald Trump. I know that makes everyone. I'm not really, but I know it just irritates a lot of people. He's just a man. Remember that. If you have faith in him, trust that he's going. I see that a lot, and that's, to me, that's the most scariest thing that I've seen people post online, is that they trust Donald Trump. They know that there's all these things that doesn't seem quite right, or these rhino deep staters that he's, potentially have appointed, or just things that he said that this doesn't sound right. But they trust Donald Trump. And if you're in that camp, I want you to pick up your Bible, and I want you to read Psalm 118, and I want you to read Jeremiah 17. Read Psalm 118 and Jeremiah 17. In regards to trusting men and trusting leaders and kings and, heads of state. But anyways, the reason why I'm saying that is Donald Trump has announced that when he gets into office that he's going to declare a state of national emergency to start deporting illegals. Now, I know on one hand, part of me says that, well, that makes sense because it's probably the only real way to be able to round up 20 plus million people and kick them out of this country. But on the other hand, it makes me really uncomfortable, because the state of national emergency, it's not martial law, but it's almost martial law. You have to understand that if martial law is just a generic term, martial law, if martial law gets declared, it's going to be under the guise of a national emergency. I've said this before. You're never going to hear a president or world leader or anything stand up and say, "I'm declaring martial law." It's not going to happen. They would declare a state of emergency. And if Joe Biden was declaring a state of emergency for any reason whatsoever, any reason, it would cause everyone to be, because it does. Every time a president does declare a national emergency, people get a little uneasy, because it opens the doorway for a lot of authority. And if you have a truly honest, truly just, truly pure leader, then it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. But it opens the floodgates for a lot of authority, a lot of power. And it's very difficult to put that power back in that box. Government, not just the United States, government in general, is notorious for when you give them a little bit of authority, they take it for all of it, and then they don't give it back. Any time in history where government has said, you know what, because of this particular situation, we're going to take this authority, and when we're done and we've succeeded, then we're going to give it back to you. It doesn't happen that way, folks. It doesn't happen that way. And so declaring a national emergency and hiring on potentially thousands and thousands of more government workers, more government law enforcement, using military on the, inside the United States. I understand that these things probably have to happen to kick out 20 or however many million people that's going to be removed from this country. But I'm saying that it's also, that's a slippery slope, okay? I'm not saying that bad things will happen. I'm not saying that Donald Trump or anyone within his administration would have authority over that is going to use that authority for bad things. I'm saying that it's possible, and that he's just a man. He's certainly not perfect. He's certainly made lots of mistakes as the former president and as just a man over his lifetime. And, I'm not confident that giving him that level of authority, that it's going to happen smoothly and not step outside of the bounds of what's necessary. Again, I get it. On the other hand, how are you going to get rid of that many people? How are you going to kick them out? I mean, some of them are going to leave on their own. But how are you going to kick them out? First thing needs to happen, in my opinion, I know I'll never get to be president, so it doesn't matter, but they need to cut off every bit of aid in any type to these people. Absolutely cut it off. Now, the problem is you're going to have them all go run to California and other states that will give them state-level aid. And maybe there's a way on the federal side to fight that, but take away the incentive for being here. No housing, no education, no health care, no food stamps, nothing. Take it all away, and the majority is going to leave, and the ones that choose to stay are either going to fall under probably two categories. Ones that are the criminal element, and that they're conducting crimes while they're here, or the ones that are seriously want to be Americans. They come here because they truly want a better life for themselves. And those people, maybe we should create some kind of pathway. Maybe, possibly, depending on the scenario. But the fact is that, like I've said all along, as much as I want to get rid of these people, it's kind of like the debt. You know, $36 trillion in debt. You can't just say, well, we're going to cut back on spending, cut our spending back 20, 30, 40, 50%. We're going to start applying all this, you know, to the debt. It's too big. It's going to be a drop in a bucket. It's kind of the same way with allowing tens of millions of illegals in. It's almost too big to fix. We will see if they can, but I think it's a slippery slope and a very dangerous thing to create a big national emergency, to add lots and lots of law enforcement, add military personnel, to go all around the country into homes and into businesses and remove people from them and kick them out. Yes, it's necessary, but also how many innocents, how many liberties, how many actual constitutional rights from American citizens could be trampled on because of that process. I don't know. I'm just saying that it's something that you have to be aware of, and it's just something that we should be aware of and be cautious of, because in the end he's just a man, and like Psalm 118 says, to not put your faith in a man or princes or leaders, but only in the Father in heaven. Mosquito getting in my ear. Only in the Father in heaven. And I think there's too many people that call themselves believers that have this blind faith that Donald Trump and anyone that he puts in power in his leadership is worthy of our trust. That's why I say we should always, all government leaders, all politicians, we should always hold their feet to the fire, no matter how good they are, because in the end, they're still just a man. Folks, you need to get ready for this World War III thing, potential nuclear war thing. That's serious. That's very serious. And I would not put it past NATO or the deep state detonating a nuke and making it look like something they could blame on Russia. I wouldn't put it past them. And maybe even here in the United States, I wouldn't put it past them, because I would say they're very, very desperate as they see Trump building his administration, that they're going to be very, very desperate to stop this at just about any cost. So, like I've said, the next several weeks are going to be probably a pretty bumpy ride. Get your houses in order, folks. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.